Hello and welcome to another Overlord lore video, and today we are going to take a closer look at what we know about Zeshi's mother and theorize a bit about her as well. But before we're going to do so, let me thank my Patreons for supporting this channel, as well as all users of the YouTube thanks function for making one-time donations. Now with that said, let's start with the known facts about Zeshi's mother. First and foremost, her name was Fane, and she was described as cold, with an icy, emotionless face, almost like she was wearing a mask. She also was a godkin of the theocracy, and the strongest among the then living godkins at that. But even her immense power was still not enough to fend off the Elf King, who ultimately abducted and took liberties with her, to formulate what happened to her as YouTube conformist as possible. Now this incident gives us a rough idea how strong she was. Zesshi was level 88 when she effortlessly killed the already badly wounded Elf King, but even at full health, Zesshi would have probably won, since she could use the goal of all life is death and ein Herrier. But even so, the Elf King and his Earth Elementar, known as Behemoth, was quite strong, so it stands to reason that the Elf King would have put up a fair bit of a fight. So I would rank him somewhere in the high 70s or the low 80s level-wise, which would make Zeshi's mother in turn weaker than this, and put her level somewhere in the mid-60s to mid-70s. And given the fact that the second strongest godkin alive today, who still is a teenage boy, was judged by Sheltier Bloodfallen to be stronger than the level 57 solution Epsilon, then it would also be very unlikely that Zeshi's mother was below the level of 60. And Zeshi's mother actually had managed to escape the Elf King's grasp, thanks to the aid of the Black Scripture, suggesting that either the Black Scripture at that time, for remember all of this happened many decades ago, was either particularly strong, perhaps also being led by one, if not several godkins, or that maybe the power gap between the two, meaning the Elf King and Fane, was not significant enough for the Elf King to hinder Zeshi's mother from escaping with the aid of the Black Scripture. What we do know is that Zesshi, after being sired by the Elf King, had a pretty loveless childhood, with her mother acting cold and uncaring towards her, suggesting that Zesshi was seen as an extension of the Elf King himself, and as a constant reminder of her own abduction by the Elf King. But while Zeshi's mother did not love her child, she nonetheless did her duty as a godkin and trained her, and while the training was harsh and quite traumatic for Zesshi as well, the disgust of her mother apparently never went far enough for her to try to dispose of Zesshi. So we can therefore assume that she was still bound and guided by her duty to her country and perhaps by her allegiance to her bloodline, despite harboring ill feelings towards her own daughter. And while we know that Zeshi's mother has now died, presumably of old age, the question should be asked why the Elf King had chosen to abduct a human woman. And here's the thing, perhaps Zeshi's mother wasn't just a normal godkin, with nothing but human ancestry, but perhaps even some elf ancestors as well. And I say this because the Elf King couldn't even remember that he had procreated with a dark elf, which would be much more likely than having intercourse with a human female. And aside from Zeshi's mother, not a single other human woman was found by Ainz, or even mentioned in the novels, with the only other half-elf known as Irmina never having been linked to the Elf King at all. So there's an argument to be made that Zeshi's mother was perhaps of the lineage of the elf player of the theocracy. For remember, the so-called 6 great gods from the theocracy consisted of only 4 human, 1 undead, and 1 elf. And while after 500 years, before Zeshi's mother was even born, her elven blood would have been diluted it could nonetheless explain why the Elf King had chosen her and not someone else. And the longer lifespan that comes with elven blood, even if it's just an extra decade or two, if the elf blood is only present in trace amounts that is, would nonetheless explain why Zeshi's mother was the strongest godkin at that time, since she would have an extra decade or two in order to train, learn, and to level. And with that said, I will have to end this video, because this is pretty much all we know about Zeshi's mother and all we even can assume about her. And now it's your turn. What do you think about Zeshi's mother, Zesshi, and of course about my video? Let me know down in the comment section. And with that said, I say thank you very much for watching, and special thanks to Arder Daddy Arder, Bad Guy Yee, Bad Burrito 316, Beezer, Ben C, Brandon D, Chrissy, Crowley 0221, Sia, Crystal Prime, Dead Slime, Death is Mercy, Deathless Dragonlord, Demon Xenomorph 1987, Devin Downen, Ding Dong, Duckwagon, Dunkler Krieger, Dystopia, Dystopia II, Enigmatic Unicorn, Feral Shivan, Guy with That Hat, Hector Marino, Hoss, Huster, Jacob G, Jana B, Jason, J. Morris, Chromius, Kyle R, Lee K. Long, Legendarius, Lelouch Britannia with a Mustache, Lexus Fox, Lord Nishikian Rai, Lord Touch Me, Loverazor, Mervek, Mr. Shoes, Mr. Tweaker, Michael R, Michael Y, Nope, Oh Hell No, Normal Toad, Okill, Overlord General Gasper, Paddy Pantum, Personage, Primus 11, Rhinomere, Q&A Karakos P, Shergox's Daddy, Shadow Lightning Wolf, Shrine Keeper, Super Tier Magic Batista Bomb, Supreme Cheese, Staris, Ted, Texas Deer, The Orc Warboss Rock Ed Smasher, T.E. Wang, Vash Hawkeye, Vegito27, Venture Fanatic, Wilhelm, Xenokai, and Zonegon. Thanks guys. Anyway, have a nice day, and I hope to see you all again soon on my next video.